Hi, I'm Ezra Dyer, and this is the 2022 Porsche 911 GT3. Other than that swan neck rear wing, it looks quite a lot like the last one. But under the skin, there's a lot of different stuff going on. Okay, we're heading out onto the track here at Road Atlanta in the 2022 Porsche 911 GT3. This one has about the same power as the last one, but a whole lot else is different. 502 horsepower, 9,000 RPM, flat 6 out back, naturally aspirated. But it now has double wishbone front suspension for the first time in a 911. It has that swan neck rear wing and a whole lot more downforce, about 150% more downforce. Total of, they say, around 750 at top speed. And you can trim that wing manually into one of two different positions. They call it like the shipping position, which is low drag. That's your top speed mode. And then there's what it's in right now, downforce mode. I have the car in sport mode right now. I'm not touching the paddles. I'm going to see how the PDK does for itself. And it seems to pretty much choose the right gear. I mean, there it goes, head into the hairpin. There's flat. And right now I'm following Porsche factory race driver Patrick Long, who is in a 911 Turbo S. Interesting comparison because this car has all the downforce, the cornering, the brakes. That car has the horsepower. And it has Patrick Long. So he's like my real life Gran Turismo ghost car. And the basic idea is if I just follow what he's doing, this car will be able to do it. Because one other secret weapon, this particular car has the optional dealer installed Michelin Pilot Sport Cup R's, which are super sticky. They're basically a hybrid of the street Pilot Sport Cup and their slick race tire. So they have the carcass of the street tire and the compound of the race tire. They tell me that these things like to be about 150, 160 degrees. They like heat. They're super gummy. Once we do a few laps here, the tires really heat up. You start to hear stuff hitting the bottom of the car because they're picking rubber up off the road and just flinging it. Might be a little of their own rubber too. So here, Patrick is walking away from me on the straight. At some point he's gonna mellow out. Yeah, like right here. Now we're just cruising 130, we're getting warmed up. No big deal to the GT3. I'm not sure how close he wants me to follow, but with this car in the corners, you can get right there. This corner, they tell me, just get it set up and be patient with the throttle. Oh boy, yeah. That's rapid. I love this part right here. You can really exploit the downforce and all the grip. Like you can go flat here for a second. Up here is where you miss the turbos coming up over the hill. He's being nice. He could definitely walk me right there. Bye-bye 911 Turbo S. 123, 128, 129. Now he's staying in it this time. brakes are just so stupendous. I was here a couple years ago, the GT3 RS. This feels about the same. I mean, I know it's been a couple years, but I have to think this car is probably pretty close to the outgoing RS. Standard rear wheel steering with that independent, standard rear wheel steering with that double wishbone front suspension. The front track is increased by 1.9 inches, so this thing turns in. And it certainly has the traction on the way out of the corners. Not a ton of torque, and you gotta rev it out, but that's the fun. .911 Turbo S, you just mash it, let the turbos work. This, you gotta find the revs. And it sounds glorious. The sound of 6 individual throttle bodies. That is fun. Well, that's the straightest point. Straightest line between 2 points is partially in the air. Notice I've stopped talking. Have I run out of things to say, or are we just driving really fast now and I need all of my brain power to concentrate? Well, it's a little bit of both. Braking at 151, and still that's way early for this car. Last year right there, the GT3 RS, we were braking at maybe 155. And I think this car could get there. Cool down. All right, cool down lap. What did we learn? Well, for one thing, I didn't touch those shift paddles, and I don't think I was ever in the wrong gear. I mean, it's fun to shift manually, but this PDK is so good, you don't need to. This is the 7-speed PDK out of the previous generation, the 991, rather than the current 8-speed. Why? Because it's lighter. I think it's like 47 pounds lighter. It's got its own unique gearing for the GT3. So when you have 9,000 RPM to play with, you can have some different gearing. Who cares about overdrive? I'm lugging it right now at only 5,000 RPM. This is flat. It's accelerating, but not that hard. This thing lives between like 6,500 RPM and 9,000. That's what it seems like. The rear glass is so thin, when we put the GoPro on it, you could see the glass deform around the suction cup. Well, I don't think anybody who buys one of these things is going to be disappointed with what they've done with the GT3. And it does feel like one of those cars that is on the end of an era. How many more naturally aspirated, screaming 9,000 RPM quasi race car engines are we going to be able to buy? But we have at least one thing to look forward to, because this is not the GT3 RS.